Hello and welcome to the Innovate-A-Thon Discussion.
We cover everything going on in the world of innovation, creativity, workforce advancement, entrepreneurial thinking, and enabling the next generation to do good in the world. We're going to explore interesting topics with mentors, students, and innovators who are shaping the future. Today, we are back in our Innovate-A-Thon tool sets. So again, happy to have my partners in crime back today, Natalie and Jim, to talk about a really cool topic on teams. So I'll give a little bit of background and then we'll kind of dive into it and get into some really great kind of tips and tricks for when you're starting to work in a team, and hope you get a lot of value on that, whoever you might be watching or listening today. So again, we'll just do this. We'll do quick introductions again. I feel like we're doing introductions today. So Natalie, you want to go first?
Yeah, for sure. So I started with Innovate-A-Thon way back a million years ago during COVID, and I was an intern, and my role has just grown since then. Now I focus on PR and outreach to students and the Innovate-A-Thon Discussion. So nice to meet everybody.
Hi, I'm Jim Jindrick, and I've been with Ed2S and Innovate-A-Thon since the beginning here, and my interests are engineering and entrepreneurship, innovation, of course, and education. And that's what we're trying to do today, is do some easy education, talking about team building and that. And Stephen, you called us partners in crime, huh? Hey, that's a C word, isn't it? Crime. I gotta think about that.
Oh man, you might get into C word later. Yeah, no. So yeah, I'm Stephen Smetzik. I'm the director for the Innovate-A-Thon program. So yeah, I'm helping to push forward the next generation through our program, and really helping be just a proponent of creativity, innovation, entrepreneurial thinking. And yeah, my very background coming up to the program, I met Jim earlier on in my career when I was starting, a business. And so kind of these tools and things that we talk about are things that I've considered, as I was starting businesses, and then being a part of, these programs and helping instill that in the next generation. So let's get into it today. So teams and really high performing teams, improving team dynamics. So I think I'm just going to give a little bit of background on our program and teams and kind of how they're formed. So the Innovate-A-Thon program is a really great opportunity for students from a whole bunch of different universities to come together in the program. So we have a really great virtual hybrid platform that we use, and that gives us the opportunity when we're going out looking for applicants for the program to really look at a diverse range of students. Because I think the one great thing that we always bring into all the programs is really different perspectives and different opinions. And really the foundation of great teams is not having 3, 4, 5 of the same team members that think exactly the same way. Yep. You're going to get a very narrow set of results from that. And so during the program, we go out to over 800 universities through our network. We pull in student applicants into the program, and they range, from all those different universities and different majors as well. So really the team dynamics and how we form the teams, we try to get different students together in teams of 3 to 5. And so that kind of first starting point is just how are high performance teams made. You could have, again, people that are exactly the same, think exactly the same way. But if you have, a person who's very business minded, leader oriented, somebody that's a marketer that's thinking about, how you're going to portray, how your idea or your vision is put out and how it's received in the value. And then you have somebody that's maybe a little bit more technical that can get down into the weeds and really dive down deep into the technical feasibility of a solution, and really having like a combination, right, of all of those types of personas and people that come together can make a really great, successful, high-performing team. So that's just to give you just a background of how we form teams and how we think about teams. And really there's a lot of things though that go into, even when those teams come together, right, they have to think about how are they going to be a high-performing team. And I think there's a lot of great tools that you can use when you're looking at that. And I think Jim had an idea too of just, what types of things maybe we can look at for high performance teams. So, yeah.
Well, you're talking about the characteristics of a high performance team. That's a C word, isn't it? Characteristics. And what you were describing there, another C word, are complementary skills for the team. Complementary is a good characteristic for a high performance team. So I have a challenge C word for both of you. Can you come up with some other C words to describe high performance team? How about you, Natalie?
Yeah, one that I think of is competency. Like, the teams have to bring a level of like knowledge and expertise to it, and they have to all kind of collaborate together. They can't just rely on like one person to do all the heavy lifting. They have to have a level of competency on the topic they're talking about, and they have to bring that knowledge into what it is that they're discussing, so that they can be able to collaborate effectively and each like put their own ideas into what it is that they're working on.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one C that I can think of, and it's a really great one, is commitment. And so vision, mission, goals, objectives, it takes a lot to be able to form a team and to have the tenacity to progress the idea forward. If you go into a team in a very low commitment mindset, you're going to get a very low commitment output. So, really being committed to coming together as a team, forming that centralized vision, mission, the goals, the objectives that you're really trying to get at, and really pushing forward, as a team, being committed to work together through the process, and really having that, a lot of the entrepreneurial mindset is that there's a very high chance of failure, probably in some things that you're going to do if you're going to be committed, and you got to be very into working as your team and pushing through things. So
we don't want the team to crash.
Yes.
C word there. So commitment, some good words, some good C words here. Compatible styles is another one. So the team doesn't crash. Are they compatible? They're complementary. So I would throw compatible as a C word in there. We're back to you, Natalie. Got any other good C words?
No, so I have one for compatible and commitment. One that kind of makes them go together is coordination, because you can't really have compatibility and commitment without a level of coordination. They need to be able to come together and focus and make out a plan of what it is that they're going to do. Otherwise, they can't expect that they're going to be compatible and able to commit to the project if they don't have some level of some level of coordination and agreement on what it is that they're doing when they're tackling these issues. And another one is communication. They need to be able to say, hey, this is what we're doing, this is what we're working on, these are the things we don't like, these are the things we do like, and they need to be able to say it in a way that is constructive to get those thoughts across, and to get maybe even the harder things across when they have something that they say, oh, this is something I don't agree with. They need to be able to have the communication skills to be able to get past that level of non-productivity to get to a level where they can be productive and have helpful interactions with each other to learn and grow.
And I heard you sneak conductive. What was the word in there? Conductive? Compatible?
Compatible. I think it was compatible, yeah.
Yeah.
Compatible in there.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and I kind of taking communication.
Constructive. That was the other word you said.
Oh, okay. We got it. Are we going to do all C words? So you have to say a whole sentence.
I think someone.
Constructive is a good word too.
Yeah. And in communication too, I think a big part of communication is also clarity. So really at the beginning, especially if you don't know your team members as well, and you might have different backgrounds, different personalities, really coming up with a role and a purpose for each team member, having clarity around what you take ownership on. Yes, you want to work together as a team and know what each other's doing, but really having a purpose and a dividing line and kind of a role specific guide to help you be a very effective, high performing team. So communication is integral in that, because things always shift and change usually over the life cycle of what you're working on, and moving and progressing a technology forward through technology readiness and iterating. Things are going to shift and change, but as long as you can communicate, have clarity between purpose, roles, you set yourself up for success. So, yeah.
And, the conduct of the team depends on the character of the people that are part of the team. So a couple of more C words there: good characters in the team with good conduct, so they can communicate and they're compatible and creative. And what other C words can we come up with? Any more?
Yeah, I have one more. I think they
Okay.
need to have like a purpose in common. So they need to have their goals in common, and they need to have their approach to how that they're going to go about these goals in common. So they kind of need to be able to have a level of agreeability and a level of, okay, I see what you're saying, this is what we can do about that. So they need to be able to see where they can meet in the middle and collaborate together.
All right, I'm going to rattle off 3 more here. So control, completion, and competitiveness. So lots of more C words. So control is an interesting one, and I think I was thinking about it again too, because it's not probably the type of control of like my son. Both sons want control of the remote control during when they're watching TV, but it's like a freedom and an empowerment to understand that you have control like over the outcomes of what happens in your team. So yeah, really thinking about that too, because if things are out of control, all those other C words start coming into play where it's the opposite effect, right? Then you're going to start heading towards the way of your team's not going to be a team eventually. So yeah, it is control, freedom, empowerment, working towards completion, goals, finishing your tasks and what you want to work towards. And then also too, it's just that drive that kind of gets incorporated, where usually if you have a new idea, a venture, there's going to be competitiveness. So you might have a little bit of that in your team. Mostly it's competitiveness with external, but you do want to have at least the competitive drive to go out there, hit the ground running, like really dive down deep into, who's your customer, how can you be better than the other companies or similar things out there. So really that competitiveness is that kind of last C that you need to have in order to have a good high performing team. You're working towards a goal, you're working towards an outcome at the end. So I think is that all the C's that we have? Always come up with more.
I think if you don't have all those other C's, you might have one C: chaos.
That's a good one. Yes.
Yeah.
Chaos. Yeah. With all the C words that we've thrown out here, one of my favorites, I have to say, is communications for the team. Good communications on the team requires good listening. Now we're a little off of C words here. Listening to the others, what they have to say, discussing what are the options, what are we talking about, are we on the same page here, and certainly questioning what other people have to say and contributing back to the conversation. Threw in a couple of C words there, couldn't resist. And sometimes you have to persuade and talk people into your opinions, or maybe you are being persuaded to follow what some of the other team members are talking about. So I think those are important teamwork skills to have. So
I think some that are also pretty important are respecting each other when you're in the team, because I've been in teams before where there wasn't a level of respect, and that just hindered all the work, because just getting that like lack of respect in there, it kind of just messes with the entire mix of how productive you can be, how much it makes others want to do their work. So if you really make sure to have respect for your teammates and for yourself, it kind of helps to have more of a baseline of, okay, this is what we need to get done. This is where I need to hold myself responsible. This is where I need to hold my teammates responsible. And then it kind of slides into the next skill, which is helping. They're more helpful. Your teammates will be more helpful if you're more helpful. And if you can take initiative and say, okay, I can pick up the ball here and I can do this slide, I can do this one, I can do this paper, whatever, it kind of makes them more likely to want to help out when you're that way. And then another one that I have is sharing. It's okay to share your ideas even if they're silly ideas. Silly ideas
Right.
might be silly to you, but then your teammate could say, oh my gosh, there's something that we haven't thought of coming at this idea this way. So maybe it's silly to you, but your teammate could approach it in a different way that can make it a really good idea.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of more teamwork skills, and even kind of diving down into that more too. A lot of what happens, especially with, and it usually is the technical person in your team. Not always, it can be the other way, but typically they're very closed off, very wanting to keep their ideas to themselves, and they're probably a little bit feeling like that they can't put out their ideas. So that kind of leads to, actively participating, and starting with those others is really important, because if you don't come in with respect, or a group that feels like they can share their ideas, then they're just not going to participate. So all members of the team have to be encouraged, to participate in the team. And again, too, I'm going back to kind of the dynamic of the three different diverse team member kind of structure that we use for Innovate-A-Thon, because a lot of times too, like during meet and greet, and when you're first just getting introduced to your teammates, you're getting to know them, you're starting to ideate, and really it's participation goes hand in hand with all the other things we just talked about, and leading into, you just have to get past the fear of thinking that your ideas are bad, and then you have to take a leap, with your team. If you're respected, if you feel like you can share, if you feel like you can participate, and that open communication starts to happen, great things can happen in your team, because there's ideas that once they're generated, and if you're not afraid to speak up and respectfully critique somebody else's idea, you might be able to take their idea, and we talk about this too, like brain writing. Somebody comes up with an idea, and then you piggyback off that idea. And once you get that cycle going of where you're refining each other's ideas, and you're not afraid to just talk in that context, great things happen in teams. So, and then everything else opens up, communication, and then that leads to success. So, yeah.
You both have triggered some thoughts for me in teams that I've been on in my careers. Good teams and some teams that weren't quite so good. And, one of the key things is who the leader of the team is. And a leader is not necessarily the boss, but somebody that just kind of balances the activities of the team, and keeps people kind of on track. In a team, you're going to have, disagreements and conflicts and things. And a good team leader is somebody that can kind of balance that and say, hey, don't get upset here. There are multiple ideas we have to talk about, and, let's get together and work as a team to a good goal, to a good end, and come to decisions together, not just one person dominating, but, the team working together to make the right decisions on that. So.
Mm-hmm. I think one thing that's pretty important too is the team dynamics. You need to have a certain level of like team dynamics. Like, yes, there can be a leader, but at the same, like, nobody should be dominating the conversation. Like, like your team leader shouldn't be like, well, my idea or the highway, like my way or the highway, this is what happens. Like, there still needs to be kind of finding out what the best solution is, and coming up with your pros and cons, and saying, okay, well, this is a good idea, but maybe this one is a better idea. So kind of finding the happy medium for your team.
Yeah. And again, too, it's those respectful disagreements that can lead to those innovative solutions, that if you fully stood your ground and just kept your idea to yourself and didn't express it and didn't work through that with your team, you wouldn't arrive at that most optimal innovative solution. So, yeah. And again, all the same things. It's just the team dynamics. You have to feel comfortable doing that. You have to feel comfortable kind of challenging somebody else's opinion in a respectful way, breaking that down, stating your reasons for doing so, not completely dismissing somebody else's idea, but working together as a really high performing, active unit that's working together for the same goal. And at the end of the day, if you're united under that goal, everyone succeeds and achieves as a team together. So, yeah.
Okay, so maybe this is a little weird and quirky, and it's a Jim thing here, but I like team, TEAM. Together, everyone achieves more.
Oh
I
man,
just like that,
is that
team. What can I say? Hey,
Yeah.
I'm on your team here. Be respectful.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this has been a really great conversation today. I think we got into a lot of really great just how teams work together, some great C words that hopefully a lot of people will take and remember as they're interacting. And again, just to go back and kind of talk about one more thing again too, is that bias, opinions, and in the state of everything going on around, business and all that, you can kind of see what happens when you do have really hardcore bias opinions, and you might be able to exceed in certain ways, but if you can incorporate unbiased opinions and unbiased solutions, you're going to be able to tap into value and to markets and to ideas that you would have not been able to in a narrow-minded, like not team, whatever there's no I in team. I was going to have to try to throw that one in there somewhere. So in that mindset. So yeah.
I think what you're saying is pretty cool. Cool C word. Okay.
You start with cool, like, yes. Yeah, we'll remember that C word. There's an acronym for that one too, but we'll all save that one for
probably.
All right. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and we're going to sign off today, but thank you so much just for joining us on the Innovate-A-Thon discussions. Again, hope you got something out of today. Hope you can take it back to your teams, start to incorporate it, and start to make it actionable and work towards really innovative, exciting things. And so thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you again next time. Thanks, everyone.